For more than a century, the National Museum of Singapore has preserved the country's history. But according to former staff, security personnel, and overnight maintenance workers, the museum may also be preserving something else. Strange footsteps echo through sealed galleries. Figures appear in archived photographs where no one stood, and certain rooms, especially after midnight, are avoided completely. The National Museum opened in 1887, making it Singapore's oldest museum. But long before the white colonial walls were built, the land surrounding Stamford Road carried darker associations. Historians documented nearby burial grounds used during the early colonial period, temporary graves, epidemic burials, unmarked dead. During the Second World War, parts of the district witnessed air raids, panic evacuations, and civilian casualties. Some paranormal researchers believe places layered with unresolved trauma develop what they call environmental memory, a location that remembers. One of the earliest stories came from a former overnight guard in the late 1990s. According to coworkers, he reported seeing a woman in white standing motionless inside a closed gallery after midnight. Thinking someone had remained inside after closing hours, he entered the exhibition room. But the gallery was empty. The CCTV recording later showed something stranger. The woman appeared on camera for exactly 4 seconds, before vanishing between frames. The museum basement archive appears repeatedly in staff accounts. Several employees allegedly complained about hearing movement between storage aisles long after everyone had left. One archivist described hearing papers rustling behind her despite no air circulation in the room. Another claimed an inventory cart rolled several feet on its own. But the most disturbing report came during a power outage in 2007. A maintenance technician working in darkness said he heard breathing directly beside him, even though he was alone. One story still circulates quietly among local paranormal groups. During preparations for a temporary exhibition, a staff photographer captured dozens of reference images inside a closed section of the museum. In one photograph, a blurred human figure appeared standing at the end of a hallway. Witnesses claimed the corridor had been empty. The figure's shape was unusually distorted, almost stretched vertically. The image was reportedly never displayed publicly. The stories are not limited to employees. Some visitors report sudden feelings of dread in specific galleries. Others describe sensing someone standing directly behind them while reading exhibits. Paranormal investigators point to repeated experiences near transitional spaces, stairwells, corridors, elevators, and older preserved sections of the building, areas where silence feels unusually heavy. Former guards have mentioned one particular gallery repeatedly, a room where motion sensors occasionally activate despite no recorded movement. One guard allegedly heard knocking from inside after the gallery had already been locked. Another claimed he saw a person reflected in the glass display cases, while standing completely alone. Independent investigators have attempted overnight studies around the museum district for years. Most recorded nothing unusual, but one audio session reportedly captured what sounded like whispered speech in an empty hallway. The voice was too distorted to identify clearly. Some listeners believed it sounded like a woman speaking Malay. Others insisted it resembled Old Hokkien dialect. Skeptics argue the experiences are psychological. Museums are quiet, isolated, filled with artifacts connected to death, war, and memory. But believers suggest something else. The theory of environmental memory proposes that emotional trauma can imprint itself onto physical locations. Not ghosts in the traditional sense, but echoes. Today, the National Museum of Singapore remains one of the country's most respected cultural landmarks. Thousands visit every week. Families, students, tourists, historians. And most leave with nothing more than photographs and memories. But late at night, when the gallery's empty and the lights dim across Stamford Road, some workers still avoid walking certain corridors alone, because according to them, the museum may not be entirely empty after closing time. Would you stay inside after midnight?